In this video, we're going to be tackling the LeetCode question, ransom note. And here's kind of the deal with this question. This question is asked, but they don't call it ransom note at most places. They are just going to ask you to do a specific thing, but LeetCode kind of gives it this fancy name, ransom note. But let me just go ahead and explain what they want. So first thing, they're referring to what you see in the movies a lot of the time. This is a fake magazine. This isn't a real magazine. And let's just say we can cut out the letters of this title right here. Let's just say for some crazy reason we want to cut out the letters, and we only want to do it for this title right here. Why public art is good for cities. And this is kind of a corny example. I probably could have come up with something funnier than this, but this is the only title that I could find on Google Images that would translate to something kind of funny. But we could take this title here and we could cut out the letters and we could form the word fart. We have a F and we have art, and we could take this title and we could form the letters or form the word fart with the letters. And it's almost like in the movies where they cut it out and form the individual letters with pieces of paper. But what it's really asking is, does the word fart exist within this string of characters right here? And that is kind of the idea behind it. And it's not so much the ransom note title, it's more or less, does this string exist within this string, and how exactly do you go about finding if it is indeed a ransom note? So what we're going to do is we're going to solve this using a dictionary and what's called a char map, or a character map. And this is incredibly common. This is used in many, many different LeetCode problems. What we'll do is we'll take our string here and we're going to take a dictionary, which is a set of key value pairs. And for every letter, we are going to map it to the number of times it occurs. So here, let's just say, to simplify things, we're going to take this string for art and we are going to map it to the number of times the F occurs. The F occurs one time, the O occurs one time, the R occurs two times, the space occurs one time, and the only, I'll quit, but the only other letter that appears twice is going to be the R, and we have two R's. And that is essentially what a character map is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our actual word that we're trying to find. So let's just say that we're trying in for art. We'll just simplify things. We won't spell out the whole title and make things confusing. What we'll do is we'll iterate through this and we'll use our dictionary to be able to calculate if the word is indeed contained within this string right here. And we'll just iterate through it and we'll just check our dictionary. Is there an F? Yes, there's one F. Is there an A? Yes, there's an A. Is there an R? Yes, there's an R. And if there's a T, then it's going to actually return a Boolean stating true. And that's the whole entire idea behind the ransom note. So let's go ahead, let's hop over into VS Code and let's code it up. So we are inside of Visual Studio Code, and first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a private method to go ahead and house our char map. We need to separate out the char map. You could put the char map directly in the algorithm, but that's going to look terrible. So let's go ahead and just separate this out. We'll say make count map. And I think that looks good. I'm sure there's a better way that we could phrase it, but we just need to have one for our char map here. And we're going to, the key is going to be a char. The value is going to be an int. We can call this counts, and we'll go ahead and just use the new. We're in the 21st century now, so we're going to just use the new instead of typing it out again. And we can use a for each in this because we're just going to be iterating over the string. We don't need to actually use a for loop. We can get away with some neat little methods here. We can just say counts contains key. So we're going to check the key and we're going to check the char from the actual string that we iterate over. No surprises there. And we're going to put the C in there. We don't want to put that S because it's not an actual char. And then what we're going to do, if it's already in there, we want to increment on it. And the way that we do that is we could do this, and there's a bunch of different other ways you could do it. You could type the thing out fully, but we'll just go ahead and use the double plus sign in there, and we'll go down here, and if there's nothing, if it's not been added yet, this is when we want to put a 1. So if it's already in there, obviously we want to increment it, but if it's not in there, we want to go ahead put a 1. And also, let's see here, we need to return counts. So we'll go ahead and return the counts. And that's pretty much it for our count map. Now what we need to do is we need to actually create the algorithm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. We want to return a bool. Remember, we want to return true or false if it's a ransom note. And we're going to say can, I believe the LeetCode is going to say can construct like this. We're going to pass in the string of the ransom note. So we'll say ransom note, and we'll also pass in the string for the magazine. Looking good. And here's where we're going to first, we call this fail first. I guess the actual, and this actually needs to be the LeetCode version is actually capitalized like this. So we need to capitalize this. So we're going to say ransom note, and we're going to do a little bit of fail first. You don't have to do this, but this is going to greatly increase your time complexity and your speed. Maybe not increase, technically not increase your time complexity, but it will increase the speed of the algorithm. And this is something that you definitely want to do in real life. You want to fail first. So if the ransom note is bigger than the magazine length, something's not right. So we need to go ahead and return false. Okay, next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and get our char map. So let's go ahead, execute our method here. We're going to want a char int, and we'll call this the, you call it whatever you want to, but I'm going to call this magazine counts. And we'll go ahead and we'll say make count map, and we're going to pass in the magazine. Okay, looking good here. And here's where we're going to go ahead, do our for each. We don't need to use a for loop in here because we're not doing anything special. We don't need any technical for loop capabilities. Go down here, and this is where we are going to do the checking when we iterate over each and every element within the actual string. So obviously, as we talked about in the whiteboard, we want to iterate through every single value, and all that we want to do is check if the individual values in the string are inside of our char map right here. But how exactly do we do that? Well, first things first is that all we have to do, there's methods just to do this, like this is pretty easy. We just go into here, we go within our actual dictionary, and we use these trusty little methods, try get value. And you want to use these try get values because if you try to access it directly, you're going to get all types of crazy errors. So just try to use the try get value when you're doing stuff like this, or wrap it in a try catch, but this is going to do everything for you and not error out on you and give you all types of crazy errors. So we're going to say count in magazine, then we're going to go down here, and we're going to check if the count in the magazine has actual value. And remember, we're not going to compare strings or anything. We're going to be comparing integers because we're counting the number of values in the actual dictionary. So we're going to be comparing it against a 0. And if there's no values in there, or if it errors out, we're going to go ahead and return false, just like this. So if the count in the magazine is equal to 0, and we're going to handle the other scenario. This is going to handle if we decremented it too many times. So what does that mean? That doesn't probably make any sense to you. So what's going to happen is if we do get a value back, but there is value in there that is not 0, what we're going to do is we're going to decrement it. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go ahead and say -1. And this is going to check in case you already had a value and you decremented it too many times. This is going to check if it's 0. If there's a value in the dictionary but it's 0, that's also going to be a false as well too. But this is probably going to be the most likely one, and that is if it's not in the dictionary at all, that's when you also want to return false as well too. And if we get through this whole entire thing and we don't get any falses, we're going to go ahead and return true. And that is pretty much it. So first thing I'm going to do is go into here. I'm going to go ahead and copy the private method that we made. Go ahead, get this full screen and going to bring over LeetCode. Go ahead, paste this in, and make sure to bring this over, make it look a little bit better. Then we're going to do the exact same thing with the can construct, but instead of pulling out all that code, we're just going instead of pulling out the whole entire method, we're just going to get all of the innards of the actual method, and we're going to go ahead paste it into LeetCode. So go down to here, same exact thing. So this looks good, but we could bring it over just a little bit more, make it look a little bit better, and just do a control tab, and let's go ahead and run it, see what we get. Congratulations, it is accepted. Let's go ahead, submit it, see what our time complexity is, and our time complexity, thank God, is linear, and our memory is linear as well too. Congratulations, you have passed the LeetCode question. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and as always, thank you for watching.